What's up, guys? Sub-Zeric here, back for another VOD review. And if you guys missed it, day 2 of the Golden Spatula in the Americas was yesterday. We are going into the final lobby today, and these are our final 8. Weijin, Yuso Lucas, Greya, Michael, Toddy, Disho, Pocky, and Socks. I VOD reviewed Weijin yesterday, and he had another really good day too. Best points overall. And I mean, this tourney's been fantastic. There's been a ton of really interesting stuff happening, some interesting storylines with people who, were doing well yesterday but ran it down on day 2, and then vice versa. People who did did badly day 1 and then popped off day 2. But I really wanted to talk today about PockyGom. PockyGom, one of the best players in North America, has done very well this set. And going into the final game, I'm not going to scroll over and spoil what it was, but going into the final game, you can see he's right near the bottom here. He needed a really good performance in this final game, and this was one of the craziest games of TFT that I've seen in a while. We'll get into it, but he really pushed Fortune to its limits in this game. Got a little bit of help from Mortdog, and then a lot of help from himself, by playing good TFT to actually cap out his board and do well enough in the game that he made final lobby. And you can also tell, look at him, man. Pocky is about to lock in for this final game. He's also, this big red bar up here is because he's playing windowed mode. I'm not really sure why he plays windowed mode, but we have to live with him being windowed mode. Maybe I can zoom in a little bit on the source here to make it a little bit better for you guys. Yeah, something like a little bit. That's so hard though. I mean, I can go up like this and then zoom in, but like this is gonna cut off some. Yeah, I don't know if this is worth. It looks okay. It looks kind of like okay. How about that? I think that looks a little bit better. You still get this red bar at the top, but it's not as big. You still see the traits on the other side, and you get a little bit of people's heads being cut off. I don't know. Whatever. Any case, first augment here. Keepers is a pretty obvious pickup in this meta. It's a very strong augment in general. I think the idea behind not actually taking keepers here, because we have keepers and an even shrouds then, we could easily just take keepers here, play towards either duelist or reaper, but the problem is those are two comps that don't cap out that highly. If you're contested at all in those comps, then you just cannot win the game most of the time. And so I think that's why Pocky doesn't go for keepers in this situation. He angles towards Salam in here, which is going to allow him to push levels and play a much higher capped board. But yeah, I mean, as you scout around, you see that person with the Darius too probably would angle towards that. But yeah, he's just going to take the Slam in here and try to play, a pretty decent opener here. He had the Bard and the Thomas Kench start. He was fully down to actually play Tom Kench from this spot, but once you don't get like an Orin artifact, we saw yesterday a player really try to angle towards this Tom Kench comp, and it did not go that well for them. I think this is a comp that you really want to be playing when you have an artifact, and if you don't have an artifact, I would stay away. Also, interesting call already this first round, right? He opts to not make gold here. He's got 7 gold sitting here. He certainly could have made gold, but he wants to stay open for, 1, the fortune from the Teemos, and 2, maybe some kind of, I don't know, Teemo reroll angle with this belt open for Morello or Nashers here. But yeah, not making 10 here. Pretty interesting to me. He is going to level up here. We see the Exalted there, but that's not going to be too relevant. It's not one of the better ones. And he's just going to get the Teemo in here so we can play a slightly stronger board. Get out of that random RE2 that we had. We didn't have an Arcanist to put onto this board, so we can't really play towards it that well. And he's even going to hold on to the Aatrox here for maybe another unit to put in. A big Mo game, a Teemo reroll game. I mean, I doubt it. And as I've spoiled, he ends up playing around Fortune this game, so not Teemo. I want to see what he puts in Team Planner though. He's still thinking very hard about this. Starter packs with champions and 1 component. I don't know if I actually have a screenshot of what this is, unless this is it. Let me see. Shen encounter cheat sheet. I think that's what this is. Yep. I'm a beast. I'm always a beast. So, I mean, I think the idea is you take Arcanist here, you get a Zoe, and hey, we want to play for max cap, you take Arcanist, and then we can actually play, we can play Fortune very easily as long as you pick up 1 other Fortune. I guess Duelist is another option. We don't have that though. We have Bruiser and Warden here. And yeah, I mean, you could also, if we were playing TK reroll, take Bruisers here, gain a Tom Kench. But once again, I wouldn't really want to play Tom Kench plus Bard reroll from this spot. So yeah, there you go. was a Clement Chu tweet. If people remind me in the YouTube comments, I can put a link to that. But yeah, I think he is going to pick up the Arcanist here. Gives him a tier as well, which is a good item towards AP. And we get the Fortune in here. You can see Pocky angling so hard to getting Fortune in here. He knows that his gameplay in this game, he needs. It ended up being that he needed a top 3 would have tied him, a top 2 would have had him in, and then a top 1 would have had him like very easily in because he didn't know, how other people were going to do in that final game. It's kind of crazy that Sox made it to the final lobby because Sox made it in with a first in that last lobby as well, which is actually very sad for Setsuko because Setsuko would have made it in if Sox had not gone first, which, sad. Tier here onto the Tom Kench. It's another Tom Kench and it's a blue buff that can allow you to play some sort of AP angle. Would be my pickup, and we can go, we can play Fortune into like Lilia is a very common line. And yeah, I mean, Pocky at this point, obviously he has to slam everything. It's kind of funny that he put the tier onto the Kobuko and now he gets to make blue buff Kobuko, but it's kind of nice because he still wants to lose these fights. And yeah, he's going to frontline the Teemo. He needs to lose streak here. He ends up, wow, wait, this is crazy. I didn't even realize this when watching it the first time around, but Philip is playing Fortune as well, but plays really lazily. Plays a much stronger board than he should have and ends up actually beating Pocky here. That's crazy that Philip actually ends up winning this fight because that's really bad for Philip. But I mean, yeah, he was just not committed to the loss streak hard enough. Pocky managed to frontline the Teemo and ended up losing that fight, which is huge. And I think that's the only other person who's going to be like actually inting for Pocky here. So really fortunate and kind of a miss by Philip. I'm not really sure why he played like that there because I feel like he could have very easily entered Pocky. Pocky had a Gargoyle slammed. If he had just done the same thing but without the slam, I think he would have lost that fight. So crazy. But I mean, that's how it is. These tiny little decisions at the top level in TFT have such huge repercussions. And I've talked about this before, but there's so many decision points in TFT. It's really hard to get every single one perfect. Every single decision to be like, okay, this I nailed, this I nailed, this I nailed, this I nailed. So yeah, he's gonna end up winning that fight, Philip, and it's very unfortunate. I assume we're gonna make gold here, sell the Riven. Item-wise here, we have another tier and a rod. Maybe it could be something like an Archangels. Don't really want to make a Nashor's if I'm playing towards Lilia, and that's my thought, play towards Lilia. There's also the Static Shiv Morello open, which seems pretty good. And yeah, Pocky, full committed to that loss streak here. Gonna make the Morello, and no Static Shiv. He's just gonna spread these components for now, just to try to guarantee that this Kobuko gets a cast off and slaps somebody. But not gonna kill any units here. Pretty fortunate to fight Relic here, who's level 4. That's, one less unit on the board, and you can see we are very rich in this situation. Okay, augment-wise here. Keepers, once again, doesn't really do much on any of the boards that we want to play. Branching out is pretty untakeable at 3-2. I guess you could theoretically take it and try to pivot into something, but I don't really love it. Recombobulator you can't take, so I guess you just take Misconnections. It's a little bit of econ, which can just accelerate our game even further. Also, we're going to note here that we're holding on to the Sivir in this situation. We're holding on to Sivir here with the idea of maybe, but now we sell the Sivir. So I think the idea was, maybe we're going to play towards a Kaisa game that is sort of like the default for this comp. The only thing that's kind of weird about this is that we have this blue buff slammed. Now, blue buff, you can just leave it on Teemo the entire game. Teemo is a really strong item holder when you are playing. I mean, not really item holder, really just a carry in his own right in this comp. Another thing that I will note is, spoiler alert, we do end up playing Trickshot this game, and Pocky actually made a pretty big mistake that ends up costing him a lot of HP this game, in that he picked up that Sivir and then sold it. The idea, of course, was that he wanted to pick up the Sivir and then just he ended up picking up the Sivir, but he wanted to only play these 3 units to guarantee his loss streak here. But what you can do with Misconnections, this augment, let's jump back a little bit. There are guides out there to what units are in which orbs. What he should have done here, actually, it's actually really unfortunate that he's standing exactly where he is, because I think the orb he's standing in is the Sivir orb. Yeah, he should have walked away. I'm pretty sure if you Google Misconnections TFT, there's probably a guide out there. Misconnections set 10 for Misconnections Enjoyer. Misconnections TFT set 11. There we go. There's a tactor. There's always a tactor guide on it. You're well, and it's always the Duckman. All right, you're welcome for my 5 cents that you got. But you can see here, Okay, but this is not updated because Sivir was on the left side over here. But there is a rhyme or reason to this. It just looks like it's been updated since because it looks like Sivir was over here. But if Pocky knew where the Sivir was, what he could have done is left this Sivir orb open over here and not picked up the Sivir. Just left that on bench or on the board for the entire game and then picked it up when he wanted it to. So then he wouldn't have had to field the Sivir, but he also would have guaranteed the Sivir for later. So that's actually, it ends up actually being quite a huge error this game. And I mean, you can see, like, even me, I just looked up that graphic and apparently that one that Leduc has is incorrect. So it's been updated since then. And this was probably, this was May. So this was, yeah, like near the beginning of the set, I guess. But, you know, kind of crazy that you could optimize that. And it's very doable if you have an updated graphic, I would say. If this happened to me in a game, I would say, okay, I need to go find an updated graphic because apparently this one's incorrect. I mean, you could just make your own graphic by looking at the ones that Pocky ended up picking up there, but it is always the same, is the idea. So you could leave the Sivir orb there if you wanted to, and be very and know exactly which unit Sivir was. And if we're angling towards trick shot, that's actually really important to guarantee Sivir for late game because now we don't have that Sivir. We're gonna full pre-level to level 7 here because why not? We're full open at this point anyway. Item-wise here, you would probably like to start getting some Kaisa items, like a glove. The only issue is, yeah, we're gonna take a frontline item here, I think. Yeah, I think Pocky's kind of upset about that carousel because he doesn't really like we're playing Kaisa, but we have no Kaisa items made so far, which is really scary, right? We do get a Kaisa off carousel here, and here's where the game goes off the rails a little bit. 24 stacks is not really enough to get a big fortune cash out. If you pull up the fortune loot table here, which you can go to tactics.tools, tables here. And I mean, you can see what he ended up doing. But yeah, if you go to the fortune loot table here and scroll down a bit, 22 or 20 luck, 22 gold value, it's really not that much. It's certainly not enough to win a game. And so Pocky says, to win this game, you know what? I'm going to double down here. As long as it's only a few rounds, I can maybe play for like a 40, 50 stack cash out. As long as I don't roll something like a 6, my game will hopefully be okay. 56 HP, anything more than a 4, anything more than a 3 is really quite scary. And you'll see what he rolls here. It's a 5. So the game becomes quite scary now because we have to survive for 5 more rounds now at 56 HP. So we need to take like under 11 damage per fight. And we're not playing the strongest board in the world. We have this Koboko here who's not doing a ton. We hit this Kaisa, but like this is not going to be an amazing loss for us here. Down 46, so we were 56, right? We just took 10 there. So if we just took 10 every single fight, then we would be just barely alive at 6 HP. But, you know, we have to save some HP. And the scary thing is we're about to go into stage 4. That's more player damage. But here, this is... Look, if anyone tells you TFT is all skill, I'll say TFT is all skill. TFT is not all skill here. PockyGom gets the Ari Kiss here for the increased player HP, gets 10 HP back here, which is a huge bailout. This is the best possible encounter that he could get here, and this actually makes his game, like, playable now, because now he only has to sack 4 rounds at 56 HP. He basically got that last round back for free. So huge moment for Pocky there. You know, TFT is very often, you know, making the best out of the situation that you're given, and sometimes you're given an amazing situation to play from, and this is it, man. Getting the Ari player HP encounter when you were playing Fortune here, when you were so close to death. But I mean, you'll see how this game goes. It was fate. It was fate. It could not have gone any other way, this game, and so, you know, we'll watch through the rest of it. But I mean, this game was a movie, surely. All right, so we're gonna move items now off the Koboko. We want to have these items on Teemo because we do need to save HP this stage. And the other thing we can note here, there's a Xayah on 8, by the way, as well. The other thing to note here, though, is that it's 4-1. We're 66 gold here. And Pocky is going to opt to not roll in this situation. His idea here is I can sack another 3 rounds and go fast 9 in this situation, which is crazy, it's just a crazy decision. But look at this. This is a pretty decent loss. 4 unit loss, 33 HP. We have 2 fights after this, so we're almost guaranteed to cash, but not with a lot of HP. Also, 60 stack cash out is a lot already, and we're going to be higher than that. Augment-wise here, please don't take Fortune Crown here. Just take a strong combat augment here. I don't really love Baboom. I don't really love any of these, but Radiant Relics is actually a nice bailout. We can use this to pick up a Kai'Sa or Xayah item. And there isn't anything too insane here. You don't really want Equinox because you want to go for that last Whisper later. Spear of Hirana ends up being the best option here, I think, and Pocky ends up taking that, which I think makes perfect sense. He was stuck between Gunblade and Spear, but I mean, it's a decent amount of AD, it's a lot of casting power, and the other thing that we see Pocky do here, that a lot of good players do, is when they're in this situation where they have the Xayah one and the Kai'Sa one, they end up itemizing the Xayah. And one, we have Remover, so we could always move items over to the Kai'Sa if we want to. But two, Xayah is just going to be stronger right now at this phase of the game. And what we need right now is combat strength more than anything. We just need to kill units, make sure we don't get 10-0'd. This is another fight that looks close. We end up killing a decent amount down to 21 HP, so we took 15 damage there. So as long as we don't kill like 0 units, we are going to cash out here. And 77 stacks. This means the next fight, we're going to go up to 97. It's 20 to lose the next fight, and 95 is a fortune break point. There are a lot of insane cash outs at 95 fortune. I think we should set the stage for what the 95 stack fortune cash outs are, because this is actually quite important as well. So let me pull up the table again here, because this is wild. So I think 95. Okay, maybe it's 90 fortune. No, it's whatever. Okay, I'll scroll. I'm sorry. I thought it was 95. Oh, it's 95. They don't call it 95 fortune. They call it 95 luck. Okay, so look at these cash outs here. This is probably the best one. Triple Dragonlord emblem, a Xayah 2, a Declaw, and a Lee Sin 2. This is going to absolutely just keep make your game easy. You can play 5 Dragonlord really easily. Itemize the Xayah with the items you already have in the game's easy. Radiant item plus 70 gold is also quite good. You can push 9, get that Radiant item onto the Xayah ideally, and then have double Radiant items on her, which is crazy. This one's also quite good as well. You need units to itemize, which is a little bit awkward, but we can throw some of these onto Xayah. We want to play for like set later and that kind of stuff. So the golden item remover allows you to bounce these all around anytime you want. And then there's this one, Blessed BT 2-star set, and these 2 dummies with Radiant Warmogs on them. This is probably the worst cash out. I mean, it's not, there's no probably. This is the worst cash out by far. This is a cash out where you're meant to stack up this set, but you're getting it so late into the game. Interestingly, if you go to stats, I want to see if this is still true, and you go to items and you look at Radiant items, and then you just sort by average placement, you scroll to the bottom, Warmog's Pride is the worst performing Radiant item in the game, and I don't think it's necessarily because it is actually the worst Radiant in the game. I think it's because a lot of people get this cash out and then die. So this is the worst cash out by far, and maybe I'm giving away a little bit what's going to happen this game, but to play from that cash out, like, that is the nightmare scenario. Any of the other 3 cash outs in this game is a free win, but that cash out, 6 HP, you have no time to stack up this set 2 that you get. So it's very, very scary. There is a Xayah on Carousel here, but we can't actually pick that up, so we have to take the Last Whisper Udyr here, which is another, good opportunity. Udyr fits very well into this board. Pocky, the last second, is going to start team building out this board. And the other important thing for Pocky is remember that Sivir from earlier. We still don't have that Sivir, which is really, really bad. Sivir allows us to play 4 trick shot on this board, which is really, really big. There is a Bard in Chop right here, which we can pick up, but I think does Pocky? Yeah, Pocky skips this Bard in Chop as well, which is the other piece of 4 trick shot that we need here, because he's so busy saying, okay, I need to roll down the board. Now, look, I set it up. We get the double Radiant Warmogs plus the set 2, and we're going to roll down for our board here. We really, really badly need to find 4 trick shot here. We end up making this Orin 2 to play a stronger board. We have the Udyr in here, but as you can see, we're rolling down so deep, and there's no Sivir and there's no Bard. We skipped over that Bard and we skipped over the Sivir in the orb earlier. Now we can put this Blessed BT onto the set here. We can opt to LW unit. We're going to opt to LW the Xayah because she's going to spread it a lot better. You could think about putting it onto the set, but I think the Xayah is just a really good holder of it with the Radiant item. You want to scale up this Radiant item with extra attack speed and Tattoo of Toxin as well. So this is our spot. Really scary, right? That wasn't the best roll down. I saw this fight, and for a second, I thought that Pocky might die here, that Kayn could just get through, but hitting that Orin 2 actually saved us. Playing flexibly saved us so hard, because Orin actually gets to tank up for so long. We get 2 Zephyrs here, which is really scary, because once again, we are 1 HP. We hit this Kai'Sa 2 here while we're rolling, and so now we can consider actually moving items over. We end up, this is another huge, I didn't build this up enough, but this is a huge decision point here from Pocky. He opts to sell the set to here. I think so few people would have actually done this, because this is your cash out, right? You get this set to. You have to play around the set to. But no, Pocky says set to is not doing anything on this board here. I don't have time to scale up this set. It's not like I'm playing Faded. I can't activate any synergies for this set. I would rather sell this set here, get 4 Bruiser in, maybe 4 Trick Shot if I can find a Trick Shot unit. This gives me more gold to roll. I'm level 9. I'm Udyr paired here. I have a Xayah as well. I mean, I'm Teemo paired as well. I want to sell this for gold, and I want to get in just a better unit. I think this actually defined Pocky's entire game. If he doesn't sell this set here, he probably loses this game. He probably goes 8th here. But he sells the set, ends up picking up an Udyr here, uses the remover here, is going to move some of these items over to Kai'Sa here. And then the Radiant BT, he's not going to put it on Kai'Sa. He's going to put it on Udyr here because, I mean, he's going to make such good usage of the stats. He's going to make such good usage of the extra healing and the lifeline. And look at this Udyr, man. He dashes to the backline, does a ton of work, does a ton of damage in this fight. CC, he's everything. And now the board starts to come into focus. We still need to try to find that last unit, that last trick shot to get 4 trick shot in. That's a huge increase in our damage. And like I talked about, like, it's so, I love watching games of TFT because of how, because like Pocky is one of the best players in the world. And he made some crucial mistakes this game that could have made this game a lot easier to play. And so it's just like, and I'm not like flaming Pocky by any means. I deeply respect him as a player. It's so cool to see that there's so much room for improvement even among our best players. So we're going to pick up these items here, going to roll down, try to pick up 1 trick shot unit. We finally find the Bard that we ended up skipping earlier. We roll down here, find another Xayah here, which is big. And so he opts to just play this double Udyr board for now, cutting out from the Silas, because he says, you know what, I have to play this Ornn 2 on my board here. I need enough frontline, so I'm just going to cut the Silas. I still want to play Atrox because it's Ink Shadow on this board, and the Ink Shadow is nice. But yeah, I just need to decide to... I need to figure out what items I want to make here. There's Giant Slayer open for the Xayah, potentially. And, oh my god, I forget about this. This is another huge decision point. He opts to GS the Udyr here. The 2-star 5 cost with the Radiant BT, opts to go for the GS here, and then makes his second item, which is Titans here. This is another huge call from Pocky here. He says, I know I'm for trick shot. I know I have the Xayah pair, but this Udyr is going to be strongest right now. I want to itemize him. I want to get him to 3 items, especially because he has that Radiant BT. And this ends up being a hugely consequential decision. I remember I watched this game on Kai's stream and I forgot about itemizing the Radiant Udyr. I defaulted in my head itemizing the Xayah again, which is so wild here. We end up seeing Xayah 2 in shop. We can now sell the second Udyr that we have, pick up Xayah 2, and now the board's really getting there. We just need a few more items onto the Xayah, but we're certainly getting there. 6 HP on a 3 streak here. We can't afford to drop a single fight. I'm happy that these Zephyrs are gone, and we end up fighting Koala, who has... Is this Koala? Because, I mean, I guess Koala found this stuff on 7, unless this is Koala standing on someone else's board, but I think that is... No, that's somebody else, right? Because Koala doesn't die there. Yeah, I think Koala was just standing on that person's board, because there's no way he found all that stuff on level 7. We end up finally finding the Sivir here. We can get this in, gives us some extra attack speed from the Kale here. On the co-stream, Mocha, who runs the Waterpark Tactics Twitter account, was talking about potentially going for Shred Kale here. I kind of like it, because you're doing a lot of magic damage from the Udyr. You're doing a lot of magic damage from the Teemo. The only downside is that Kale is not going to be shredding backline, and Udyr is very often going to be on backline, so the shred is not as important. So I think that's why Pocky goes for it, because he knows the MR shred is not that big of a deal. Item-wise here, we are, I believe, just looking for Xayah item. Oh, right, there is a Altruist crest on the carousel here, which is a really nice pickup. This is going to make our board even stronger. We can maybe potentially play for more Altruists on level 10, but the nice thing is we can just take Altruist crest. We can throw this onto Teemo here, give him a little bit of that baby Gunblade effect here. He decides to put on Teemo. He thinks about Xayah for a second, but I like it on Teemo. It's 3rd item onto Teemo. Teemo's, you know, Xayah is doing a decent amount of damage, but Teemo's probably going to do more just because of how much of a beast Teemo is. We're going to swap to this side here, and this is actually a really scary fight as well. Level 8 Precedence Board has a Xayah 2 on 8, was also a Fortune Cashout player. So, like, this fight, I got really scared when I saw this fight, but look at the work this Udyr does, man. I think putting this GS and Titans onto Udyr here actually, and the decision to swap out of the set, put the Udyr in, put the Radiant BT on him, and then build Titans GS onto this Udyr, actually, it was so consequential for this game. So many just beautiful decisions, I feel like, this game that actually just made Pocky's entire game playable. So many little things that actually could have just. I mean, I think his level 9 pivot and how he decided to itemize his units and how he played his level 8 into that was just so pretty. The idea as well of not rolling on 8 this game and just holding the line fast 9 for the Fortune cash out was so so sick. I feel like so few players would actually do that. And then at this point, it's kind of interesting. There's a question of like, do you roll? Do you push 10 in this situation? Because we're sitting on, like Galio 1, we're sitting on like an Aatrox 1 and a Ribbon 1 on this board. There's a lot of good stuff that we could add, but there's also the idea of pushing level here and getting way stronger, going 10, capping out enough to win the lobby here. We take Deathblade here because it's the only Xayah item that makes sense. Maybe Hodge if you're afraid of her getting sniped or something, but she's our next unit to itemize, and he's looking. He's just trying to see, okay, when can I level? I could get 4 Bruiser in here. I could start getting more like 5 costs in. Like Rakan would be a really, really nice addition onto this board. I think maybe like a Rakan Soraka down the line would be the idea, though I guess you can't really cut Ribbon, so you'd have to lose like Ink Shadow, which doesn't feel great. So we'll see how he caps out his board, but Rakan certainly seems like a good unit to get in here, and he is going to level just... He says, you know what, I don't care about econ this far into the game. I'm going to level, put myself down to 0 gold. Not true 0, but 0 gold here. And he is going to put the Silas in for 4 Bruiser because he is scared. He knows we're going to fight Philip's board here. Philip's quite strong. We get the Udyr on the left side in front of the Ashe, though, which means this Udyr is killing this Ashe's sniper value the entire fight. Look how little damage this Ashe is doing just because the sniper is getting no value here, and we are going to roll down. Obviously, I just realized that you can't put Rakan onto this board because you're playing Xayah. So I guess this is just the final board then. If only we could field Xayah plus Rakan. Look, I'm sure there's some person in the Twitch or in the YouTube comments who's been like, you can't fit Rakan, you're playing Xayah. And you know what? I mean, you're right. Look, it's hard to commentate and to bring the hype and to think of every single little... Look, you do it, okay? You do it. All right, I'm sorry. We win this last fight. Philip drops down to 1 HP, and it's really just final boss free replay at this point. There's nothing really great on Carousel. There's a Shojin for the Xayah here, which, has to be the pickup here. I guess, once again, Edge of Night would be an option if you're afraid of her getting sniped, but a lot of these fights tend to be quite front to back. Looks like we're going to fight Philip one more time, and we have to clutch out every fight, because remember I said, if Pocky goes third this game, if he somehow loses this fight to Philip, or if he fights replay or something here, if Philip lives, he actually still doesn't make final lobby, which is crazy that we've come this far. We end up fighting Philip's clone here, which is huge for us. We also get the Udyr on the same side once again, so we end up winning this fight, which is huge. And he's scouting, he's looking here, and Philip ends up going down. I don't know if Pocky, he was very celebratory here, so maybe he knew that a top 2 would guarantee him in at this point, but yeah, there's no way of really knowing that until, you get out of the game and actually look at the score sheets and everything. But we got one more person to fight. Replay. We got to take down the former world champion here. Replay playing this very, very meta, very, very strong Reapers board. And it's scary, right? It's very scary. The Reapers run to backline. But the hero of this game, the unit that carried us from the start to the end, and by the start I mean like stage 4, is this Udyr, man. It's so hard for this Reaper's board to actually get through this Udyr, and Udyr does so much damage here. Yeah, I think Pocky is checking second monitor to see what other people's scores are, to see if he's actually in here. We're gonna roll down here, see if we can just find any upgrade like a Galio 2, though I think he sold Galio pair, so I don't even know what we're rolling for here. Giant Slayer 3rd Xayah item, but yeah, the wrapping of these Reapers is actually very scary. You can see he puts his big main tank, the Ornn, in front of all of his units on the right side here, just saying you've got to get through this Ornn first. Also, the Udyr on the right side, same side, is really, really smart. There is a tech with Udyr positioning where if you... Here, let's just go back. It's the win, but the idea is if they pop Udyr's lifeline here and Udyr ends up becoming untargetable, and they can't get through this Udyr, then they'll have to walk backwards through the entire board. Also, look at this, by the way. We replay 1 off Kayn here, but couldn't actually hit the Kayn 3 this game. Like I said, maybe Pocky knew at this point all he needed was a second, but so stressful. That's what he was rolling down for that last round, by the way. It was Kayn's, was the idea. So it's the win for Pocky, and he gets to make it to final lobby with a crazy fortune game. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe, check out my Twitch, all my other links down below. We are going to be co-streaming the finals here. This final 8, it's going to determine who goes to Worlds from the Americas region. So go check it out. The link will be in the description. I'll see you guys there. Bye.